What's going on, everyone? It is the Derf, and today I'm going to start a little mini series featuring a question that I've been asked throughout the season but haven't really answered, and that is, Derf, what roles are you rocking on your exotic class item for your Warlock? Yes, I'm going to be talking about Solipsism for the next few videos, and I'm going to go through the roles that I intend to bring with me into the next season. These roles are going to either help you be a more universal player, give you huge DPS numbers, give you the ability to print Orbs of Power, or a combination of all three. This build specifically that I'm rocking right now is going to give you huge DPS potential and basically give you unlimited abilities to print Orbs of Power. This build can pair with every element, and I'm excited to share it with you. Let's go. Alright, so you guys saw the stats. 1 out of every 5 kills generated an Orb of Power. That's a little bit lower than what I typically like to be. I like to typically be somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 of every 3 kills at a minimum generates an Orb of Power. Helps fuel the overall fire team flow, but in the Sunless Cell, it's a little bit spread out. There's not as much constant chaos as I'd like there to be, although there is plenty. So 40 Orbs of Power during a regular Nightfall run with 200 kills. I'll take that all day long. And my teammates, of course, were not slouches. They still put in a lot of work. And it gets pretty hairy with some of the beefier enemies the further into the Sunless Cell that you go. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. So to get part 1 started for our Solipsism builds, we're going to go on the Prismatic Warlock with our Super Needle Storm. Needle Storm. Threadlings you create will return you and perch if they can't find any nearby targets. Damaging targets with your weapons or melee will send out perched threadlings to attack. And this is, of course, after embedding themselves in the environment. The needles will reweave into a host of threadlings after you conjure a hail of deadly woven needles. Needle Storm, of course, is an instant burst super. It's why I have picked this, because I like to have the instant burst super for this specific build. I think it works best. And we're also going to build into this with a strand add clear weapon. For abilities, I prefer the Healing Rift, the Burst Glide. You want the Arcane Needle for the stack of 3 melee charges. And we are going to go with the Vortex Grenade. The Vortex Grenade does not typically make a lot of my builds, not to take anything away from what people can use this for, but we're actually not going to be using this specifically for kills. We're going to be using this to weaken targets that we are damaging with our heavy and our special weapon, as well as our super, and I'll get to that here in a second. For aspects, we're going to go with Feed the Void. Defeat a target with any ability to activate Devour. Your Devour effects are improved, restoring additional health and grenade energy. So theoretically, we want to be able to spam when we need damage. We want to be able to spam our weakening nades as often as possible, and with Devour proc, we will be able to accomplish that. Next up, we've got Lightning Surge. Lightning Surge we're going to be using often to generate as many Orbs of Power as possible. While sliding, activate your charge melee ability to blink forward, calling down lightning strikes that jolt targets as you rematerialize. Targets that are hit by your lightning strikes grant you stacks of bolt charge. So this is going to pair very nicely with our Solipsism, which I will get to here in a second. But essentially, you're going to be riding Lightning Surge as well as your main strand add clear weapon, and we will be able to generate huge amounts of damage very easily. For our fragments, first up is Facet of Purpose. Picking up an Orb of Power grants us Woven Mail. Now, we will also be able to generate Bolt Charge because of our Lightning Surge and because of our special and heavy weapons of choice. So we will be able to benefit from both of those. Next up, we got Facet of Dominance. Your Void Grenades weaken targets and your Arc Grenades jolt targets. We already have the jolt covered with the Lightning Surge spam that we're going to be doing, but we can add to that by adding weakening grenades by using our Vortex Grenades. So the way that I'm going to use this is pretty much I'm going to throw the weakening nade at a champ or major and or boss, and then I will unload into them either my super or my heavy weapon to make quick work of them. Next up, we've got Facet of Protection. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. While Transcendent, the effect is increased. Plus 10 to Strength, I'll take that. And because this is going to be an aggressive build, because we are going to be using a lightweight frame weapon as our main ad clear, this is going to fit in perfectly. Next up, we've got Facet of Awakening. Rapidly defeating targets with light or darkness damage or super final blows generates an elemental pickup of the matching damage type. So because of our main weapons that we're going to be using, we're going to be generating things like Ionic Traces as well as Tangles. Of course, Tangles can be used as just a continuance of the damage you are causing. And if you do happen to kill multiple enemies with your Vortex Grenade, you will also generate Void Breaches. In each case, you're going to be getting some kind of ability energy back with the Ionic Trace. You'll be getting the Void Breaches back, which grant you class ability energy. And Tangles, of course, targets afflicted by any strand debuff will align them and create a tangle as well. So we will be able to generate a lot of chaos with very little effort. Finally, we've got Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy. Rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy. Because we are going to be using a strand main ad clear weapon, we will be generating grenade energy like crazy. And because we are going to be using Lightning Surge as well as light damage, special, and heavy ammo weapons, we will be able to generate our melee back extremely quickly. And of course, stack that up to 3 times. For stat distribution, I recommend focusing on resilience, strength, and discipline in that order. Now, some of you may ask me, why aren't you focusing on discipline and then strength? Because it's a longer cooldown for your Void Grenade than it is your Arcane Needle. Because I'm using a darkness subclass weapon for my main ad clear. So I'm going to be spamming a lot of regeneration just by using my, every encounter main weapon. I guess if you really wanted to, you could swap these two. You could get a little bit less on strength and a little bit more on grenade. But I mean, realistically, the difference is what? 10 seconds? I don't really think you're going to be missing it. And because I want to be able to spam Orbs of Power and I want Lightning Surge more often, having my strength a little bit higher since I am running a darkness energy weapon as my main ad clear makes more sense. For weapons in the kinetic slot, I recommend going with Mirror Imago. Substance and Sword Logic is absolutely insane if you have never tried it. Sword Logic, of course, final blows of this weapon grant bonus damage. The strength and duration of bonus increases when more powerful targets are defeated. And of course, Substance defeating targets partially reloads the magazine from reserves. So this is basically a strand version of Recluse. If you don't like those, I also recommend going with Pugilist as well as Hatchling. Now, Hatchling is not really known for its damage ability. It's more for its chaos-causing ability. And Pugilist, of course, will give you the best of both worlds. You'll generate your grenade energy back faster, and you will also gain a portion of your melee energy back every time you get a kill with this roll. You could also make an argument for going with the Borrowed Dyad. However, I don't feel like using your exotic in this slot typically is the best play here, unless you are just running general content and really want those Blightseeker rounds to do a lot of the dirty work for you. In the energy slot, I 100% recommend Plug 1. Slideways and Control Burst is an excellent pairing because you can partially reload your magazine simply by sliding. Control Burst, of course, increases the damage as you land all of your shots. You could also make an argument, if you didn't care about the unstoppable stunning capability, to go in with the Guardian Games Trace Rifle or the Iron Banner Trace Rifle with jolting feedback. In the heavy slot, I've got 2 options. If you want to use your exotic for this, I highly recommend Thunderlord. Thunderlord still packs a huge punch, especially in PvE content. I can't tell you the number of times we've almost one-phase raised bosses by just running Thunderlord and nothing else. You could also use Watchful Eye. Overflow and Jolting Feedback are some of the best 2 combinations you could argue for this machine gun, and that is going to be if you are using your Borrowed Dyad as your main exotic. For the armor, in the helmet, we're going to go with 1 hands-on, a harmonic siphon, as well as a heavy ammo finder. This frees you up to put on pretty much whatever general armor mod that you need. For the gauntlets, we're going to go with a minor general armor mod so that we can fit ourselves 3 heavy-handeds. The key here is that every heavy-handed reduces the cooldown between when we can generate Orbs of Power. Having 3 heavy-handeds means you can generate an Orb of Power with your charged melee every second. So theoretically, 3 charged melees in a row, 3 orbs of power. It's that simple, and that will increase your ability regen as well as contribute to your super regen. For the chest armor, we're going to go with arc reserves because we are running 2 arc weapons in our special and our heavy ammo. Make sure you put on 2 specific resistances for whichever content that you need them for, and that'll free you up to put on basically any general armor mod that you need to round yourself out. For the legs, we're going to go with a 3 energy or possibly a 4 energy depending on how much you have left over armor mod. Go ahead and throw on an Innervation, an Invigoration, and an Absolution. Now, ordinarily, I'd probably put in a double Absolution, but in this instance, I want a little bit more back on my charge melee, so I want to put Invigoration on because it's a bigger chunk. I mean, it's not like a huge noticeable bigger chunk, but it is more noticeable of a chunk back than Absolution, which spreads the ability energy between all 3. All right, so for Solipsism, for this roll, I'm going to go through the mods real quick. I'm going to put on Bomber. I want my Vortex Grenade back faster. Font of Restoration, I'd like my class ability back faster as well as increased health. And I want Reaper because I'm going to be using my class ability to kind of shield me as I'm laying waste into the boss. This, of course, frees you up to put on pretty much whatever general armor mod that you need and make sure you masterwork it. Now, for the roll specifically, I highly recommend Spirit of Inmost Light and Spirit of Harmony. Spirit of Harmony, of course, is going to pair with your super and your made at clear weapon, which is why we are using the Mirror Mago, and also why the Barrow Dyad would work in this situation. The bonus is going to be the Spirit of Inmost Light. Using an ability empowers the other 2 abilities. So as you use each ability, whether that's your class ability, your melee, or your Lightning Surge, or if you want to use your Vortex Grenade, any ability that you use will empower the other abilities. You'll see the notification on the left-hand side of your screen when you're using them. And quite honestly, it is insanely powerful to just basically rotate through your abilities and have a lot of fun. And in Nightfalls, you become a force to be reckoned with very easily. For our artifact, go ahead and throw on Unstoppable Fusion since we are running the plug 1. Go ahead and put on Overload Machine Guns. And I do have Piercing Sidearms on. You could make an argument for using Mikkel's Reverence or another Strand Sidearm in the main ad clear. However, if you're going in Nightfalls without barriers, it kind of seems pointless. So just make sure you mod according to the need. In the second column, we're going to go with Unraveling Orbs because I want my Unraveling Rounds. Vile Weave because I want my Tangles to sever targets. In the third column, we're going to go with Hold the Line because I want some increased reload and stability, as well as additional health regen as we use them for final blows with machine guns. Go ahead, roll with Dielectrics so that you get some bolt charge every time you kill an enemy with an arc debuff, or kill an enemy that has an arc debuff, I should say. And go ahead and go with Elemental Siphon. Rapid final blows with a kinetic weapon or a weapon matching your equipped super creates an elemental pickup that matches your equipped super. In this case, we're going to be generating additional tangles on top of the tangles we're going to be generating just normally. Go ahead and throw on Harsh Refraction so you get the bonus to damage for your trace rifle. Go ahead and throw on Flashover. When you gain maximum bolt charge, you also become amplified. Lightning bolts deal more damage. I don't care about the amplification because Lightning Surge is, of course, going to do that for us. But I do care about the additional damage that my bolt charge will generate once it reaches max stacks. In the final column, we could make an argument for at least 3, maybe 4 of the picks. The obvious one is going to be Particle Reconstruction since we are using a fusion rifle. If for some reason you do not have a fusion rifle on and you want to switch it out with a trace rifle, that might be a situation where you take Particle Reconstruction off, obviously, and swap it over for either Heavy Ordnance Regeneration or Elemental Supercharger. These 2 would be backups in my opinion. You could also make an argument for Defibrillating Blast if you're going into GMs. More bolt charge means more better. And if you are using Limit Break, you're going to get some additional damage to your super. And since we're going to be generating our super more often than normal, I think it makes more sense to put this on as opposed to any of these. I'm not really hurting for bolt charge since I've got Lightning Surge. I'm also not really hurting for additional super regeneration because I'm I've already got the Spirit of Harmony increased to my super regen. So I think these two are backups. Actually, these three are backups to limit break as well as particle reconstruction. But if you wanted to take particle reconstruction off because it is just a special ammo weapon, you could throw on heavy ordnance regeneration. And you do get increased grenade and melee energy regeneration for a short duration. So that is the build. One of the reasons I think you guys should try out a Spirit of Inmost Light and a Spirit of Harmony Solipsism for your Warlock is it is a very good pairing. You can pair this with virtually every super, every element that you can think of. You can cover at least 2, maybe 3 champs with your weapons just by themselves, which frees you up to essentially build your character how you want to build them, which means if you want to try new things, you can still benefit from all the things that Spirit of Inmost Light has as far as abilities, as well as Spirit of Harmony, which of course increases the super regen depending on the element as long as it is matching. And if you have been wondering if it's time to get Solipsism, this is the time to get it. Edge of Fate is coming out in less than 2 months, and we don't quite know exactly what's happening. So make sure you get your hands on these, get the rolls that you want, because depending on what happens, you may be using them more. It's not like Prismatic is going to go anywhere once Edge of Fate happens. We're not getting reset. We're not getting brand new classes or anything like that as far as Void and Strand, they're all staying. So get yourself a Solipsism that's got Inmost Light and Spirit of Harmony, because remember, we're going to have a, all new armor to farm. We're going to have all this other stuff going on. The last thing you want to do is be chasing the last expansion's exotic class item. Anyways, if you did find anything helpful with this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If you know a Guardian out there who is wondering what kind of Solipsism roles they should pick up and you think that they could benefit from this role right here, go ahead and share this video with them or send them my way. My goal is to help as many people as possible. As always, I will have a dim link in the description of the video. And if you guys are looking for a non-toxic gaming community, I highly recommend you check out my Discord. It is full of a lot of active people that are always wanting to do just everything under the sun, everything from Vanguard to Gambit to dungeons to there's talks of raids, every so often. There's a lot of good information being shared on there as far as Edge of Fate and the future of Destiny, things like that. People keep in open discussions. It's just a great community to be a part of, and I couldn't even offer that if it wasn't for the people that make it what it is. So shout out to everyone in my Discord for being so welcoming, and shout out to anyone out there who has been kind of a solo player. Maybe you're high skill or maybe you're low skill. Doesn't really matter. If you've been looking for just a community to maybe game with or maybe just talk about Destiny with, I highly encourage you to join. We welcome everyone. So, all right, I'm going to switch back over to that Nightfall run and just talk about one more thing, and we'll wrap it up. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to be going through the next few videos and going through some of the roles of Solipsism that I really enjoy the most. By now, those who are fans of the channel, you pretty much know my kind of style of play. There's mostly an aggressive style of play, not a whole lot of support or hanging back. I like to kind of be in the middle of all of the chaos or be the one causing the chaos. This specific role of Solipsism, the Inmost Light as well as Harmony, it really pairs with any type of element that you prefer. So maybe you don't like my Strand build for this video. That's totally fine. Maybe you prefer to try this with Nova Bomb, or maybe with Arc, or, really whatever. It's one of the more universal roles of Solipsism that you can get, in which you can kind of play how you want and fan how you fan. I also will be going through at some point, and I guess you can call this a teaser, although I don't really do that. I just kind of let you guys know what's going on in the Discord, for example. But I'll probably end up going through at least one video where I am going to explain how I'm going to be addressing my vault space. That is a question that I've been asked more recently, now with some of the announcements from Bungie, as well as gameplay trailers. They've done interviews, they've done beta testings, all those things, and it's a question that's on a lot of people's minds. And one of the last things that I want anyone to have to feel like is that they have to go back into last year or last season in this specific instance to farm these class items. So if you guys have been procrastinating, if there's anyone in here who is new or maybe just a savvy veteran, like I said, who has been procrastinating a little bit, this is your sign. Just go get it done. If you guys need a community to game with, hop into my Discord. I want you guys to be able to experience these roles and be prepared for Edge of Fate. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for the support as always. Take care.